Have you ever been to a party where the host suddenly realizes they've run out of something essential? Like, the drinks are gone, the snacks are finished, and there's that moment of mild panic. It's awkward, right? Well, today we're diving into a story about a wedding where they ran out of the most important drink of all, and the solution was something nobody could have ever predicted. This isn't just any party story. It's the story of Jesus' very first public miracle, a moment that revealed who he truly was. We're heading to a wedding in Cana, as told in the Gospel of John, chapter 2. This is the story of water turning into wine, and trust me, there's so much more to it than just a magic trick. It's a story about generosity, timing, and a glimpse into God's incredible plan. So, picture this: a joyful wedding celebration in a small town called Cana in Galilee. Jesus is there, along with his mother Mary and his brand new disciples. In that culture, a wedding feast wasn't just a one-night affair, it could last for a whole week. It was a huge community event, a massive celebration of love and new beginnings. The host's reputation was on the line to provide incredible hospitality. Everything is going great, the music is playing, people are laughing, and everyone is having a wonderful time. And then the disaster strikes. They run out of wine. This was a social catastrophe. It would bring shame and embarrassment to the families of the bride and groom. It was a sign of poor planning and a failure of hospitality, a really big deal back then. This is where Mary, Jesus' mother, steps in. She knows her son. She's watched him grow up, and she has a sense that he is different, that he can do something about this. She goes to Jesus and says simply, "They have no more wine." She doesn't tell him what to do or how to fix it. She just presents the problem to him, full of faith. Jesus' response is interesting. He says, "Woman, what does this have to do with me? My hour has not yet come." Now, this might sound a bit harsh to our modern ears, calling his mother woman, but in that context, it was a formal and respectful term. More importantly, he talks about his hour. This is a key theme in John's Gospel. Jesus is always aware of a divine timetable. His hour refers to the time of his ultimate glory, his suffering, crucifixion, and resurrection. He's saying, is this small-town wedding crisis really the moment to reveal my true identity? It seems like he's hesitant, but Mary isn't deterred. Her faith is unshakable. She turns to the servants and gives them a powerful instruction, one that echoes through the ages for all of us. She says, "Do whatever he tells you." She doesn't know what Jesus will do, but she trusts him completely. Her instruction is simple: listen and obey. And this is a huge lesson for us. How often do we pray and ask God for help, but then try to dictate the terms or figure it all out ourselves? Mary's faith is a model of surrendering the how to God and simply trusting in the who. She places her complete confidence in Jesus, creating the space for a miracle to happen. Nearby stood 6 large stone water jars. These weren't for drinking. John tells us they were used for the Jewish rites of purification. Before meals and during ceremonies, people would wash their hands and feet as a sign of spiritual cleansing. Each of these jars could hold 20 to 30 gallons of water. That's a lot of water. We're talking about 120 to 180 gallons in total. So Jesus turns to the servants and gives them a very specific and probably very strange command. He says, "Fill the jars with water." The servants, perhaps remembering Mary's words, obey without question. They fill those massive jars right up to the brim. Imagine the effort this took, hauling bucket after bucket of water to fill these enormous stone pots. They didn't understand why, but they did it anyway. Their obedience was a crucial part of this miracle. Now comes the moment of truth. Jesus then says, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet." Think about this from the servant's perspective. They just filled these jars with plain old water. Now they're supposed to take a cup of that water to the party expert, the person in charge of tasting and approving everything. What would you be thinking? Am I going to get in trouble? Is this some kind of joke? But again, they obey. They draw from the jars and take it to the master of the banquet. The master takes a sip. He has no idea where this wine came from. He doesn't know about the conversation between Mary and Jesus or the servants filling the jars with water. All he knows is that this is, without a doubt, the best wine he has ever tasted. He is completely blown away by its quality. The master of the banquet is so impressed that he calls the bridegroom over. He says to him, "Everyone brings out the choice wine first and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink, but you have saved the best until now." He thinks the bridegroom has been holding out, saving this incredible vintage for the end of the party. It's a huge compliment. But notice who knew the real story. The servants. The bridegroom gets the credit, the master of the banquet is amazed, but only the servants who obeyed Jesus knew the secret. They witnessed the miracle firsthand. And this is often how God works. He uses ordinary people in their ordinary acts of obedience to be part of his extraordinary plans. The servants didn't perform the miracle, but they were essential to it. Their simple act of filling jars with water became the vessel for God's power. So, why is this story so important? Why does John choose this as the very first public sign Jesus performs? First, it shows Jesus' compassion and concern for everyday human life. A wedding party running out of wine might seem like a small problem in the grand scheme of things, but it mattered to the people there. Jesus cared about their joy, their reputation, and their celebration. He's not a distant God who is unconcerned with our daily struggles or embarrassments. He steps into our messes, even the seemingly small ones. Second, this miracle is a powerful symbol. Jesus doesn't just make more of the same wine. He takes water, a symbol of purification and ritual, and transforms it into wine, a symbol of joy, celebration, and abundance. He makes the best wine, and he makes a lot of it. This wasn't just enough to solve the problem. It was an overwhelming, extravagant amount. This points to the nature of God's kingdom. It's a kingdom of radical abundance, generosity, and new life. He takes the ordinary and makes it extraordinary. He brings joy where there was potential shame. Most importantly, John tells us the result of this miracle. What Jesus did here in Cana of Galilee was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. This event wasn't just about saving a party. It was a revelation. It was a sign that pointed to Jesus' true identity as the Son of God, the one who has power over nature itself. For his disciples who had just started following him, this was a faith-building moment. They saw his glory, his divine power wrapped in human form, and their belief in him was solidified. This story sets the stage for all the other signs and teachings to come in John's Gospel. It's the grand opening, showing us that with Jesus, the old ways of ritual are being transformed into a new reality of joyful, abundant life. He is the one who saves the best for last, not just at a wedding, but in the grand story of salvation. This incredible story from Cana has so much to teach us today. It reminds us to bring our problems to Jesus, no matter how big or small. Like Mary, we can present our needs to him with faith, trusting that he cares and that he is able. It also challenges us to be like the servants, to obey Jesus' commands even when they don't make sense to us, trusting that our simple obedience can be used for his miraculous purposes. And finally, it fills us with hope. It shows us that Jesus is a God of transformation and abundance. He can take the water of our ordinary, empty, or even shameful situations and transform them into the wine of joy, purpose, and celebration. He doesn't just fix things. He makes them better than they were before. He truly saves the best for last. Thank you so much for joining me today to explore this amazing first miracle of Jesus. I hope it encouraged you. If you enjoyed this video and want to dive deeper into more stories from the Bible, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next one. We'd love to have you as part of our community. God bless, and we'll see you in the next video.